the WNBA just lost millions of dollars in a single announcement, and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is scrambling to save face, while fans are literally demanding refunds from arenas across the... What started as whispers about Caitlin Clark's injury has exploded into a full-blown crisis that's exposing everything wrong with how the league treats its biggest star. The Indiana Fever just confirmed what insiders have been saying. Clark is done for the season, maybe longer, and the real reason behind her injuries is darker than anyone wants to admit. But first, if you're as shocked as we are about what's happening to women's basketball right now, hit that like button and let us know in the comments if you think the WNBA deliberately let this happen. The timeline of destruction started way before anyone noticed. Back in May during training camp, Clark was already dealing with a quad strain that should have been a red flag. Instead of resting her, the Fever pushed their 22-year-old superstar through every practice, every media event, every promotional appearance. By June, that quad issue morphed into something worse, a groin injury that kept getting aggravated game after game. Then came July 15th against Connecticut, where Clark literally carried her team to an 87-77 victory while playing through visible pain. That's when the groin completely tore on her right side. What happened next would shock everyone who's been following this story. The medical reports that leaked showed Clark wasn't just dealing with one injury. She had developed a bone bruise during her supposed recovery, meaning her body was breaking down faster than it could heal. Sources close to the team revealed she was spending 6 hours a day in treatment just trying to get back on the court, but her body kept failing her. The Fever's own COO Amber Cox admitted they ran out of time, but what she didn't say was how they let it get this bad in the first place. The conspiracy theories started immediately, and honestly, they make sense when you look at the evidence. Clark was receiving 20% of all flagrant fouls in the entire league last year as a rookie. 20%! That's not normal wear and tear, targeted abuse. Every game became a test of how much punishment she'd take before breaking. Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky were literally laughing after fouling her. Players were grabbing her jersey, shoving her into screens, and hitting her off ball while refs stood there doing nothing. The Washington Post even published an investigation showing the pattern of non-calls specifically against Clark. But that wasn't the whole story. This year they added Sophie Cunningham to the hit list, and she's been taking almost as many flagrant fouls as Clark. It's like the league decided if they couldn't stop these players' popularity, they'd let other teams physically destroy them instead. The consistency of the abuse is what's most disturbing. Entire games where Clark would be held, grabbed, and pushed without a single whistle. Meanwhile, if she breathed on someone wrong, instant offensive foul. The financial impact is already catastrophic. Ticket sales for upcoming Fever games have dropped 70% since the announcement. Las Vegas, Dallas, and New York arenas that were selling out specifically for Clark appearances are now offering massive discounts just to fill seats. The WNBA's new broadcasting deal that networks signed specifically because of Clark's ratings power, those executives are reportedly furious and considering legal action for breach of implied contract. One source said the league just lost its most valuable asset through pure negligence. What's even more revealing is how other players are reacting behind closed doors. Several veterans who publicly criticized Clark last year are now privately admitting the league screwed up. They're seeing their own paycheck potential disappear because without Clark, the spotlight moves away from women's basketball entirely. Diana Taurasi, who was notoriously harsh on Clark as a rookie, reportedly told teammates this injury crisis could set the league back 5 years. Even players who resented Clark's instant fame are realizing she was their meal ticket to better contracts and more exposure. The referee situation deserves its own investigation. These aren't random bad calls. It's systematic bias that multiple analysts have documented. Clark would get hammered coming off screens, knocked off balance during shots, and grabbed during fast breaks. Yet refs would call her for traveling or offensive fouls instead. One former NBA referee who reviewed game footage said he counted 47 uncalled fouls against Clark in just 3 games. That's not incompetence, that's deliberate. Stephanie White's comments earlier today basically confirmed what everyone suspected. The Fever knew this was coming and tried to hide it. She talked about managing expectations and protecting player health, but where was that protection when Clark was limping through games in July? Where was the concern when she was grimacing through possessions everyone could see she shouldn't be playing? The coach who's supposed to protect her franchise player instead kept sending her out there like a sacrificial lamb. But here's where it gets really interesting. Adam Silver and the NBA, who technically oversee the WNBA, have been completely silent. Not one statement about protecting the league's biggest draw. Not one word about referee accountability. Silver, who's quick to fine NBA players for criticizing officials, apparently has no problem with WNBA refs allowing assault on the court. The double standard is so obvious, it's insulting. The real victims here are the fans who invested emotionally and financially in this season. Families who bought season tickets specifically to watch Clark play. Kids who got her jersey for Christmas and now won't see her play until who knows when. The Fever's attendance went from averaging 4,000 fans to selling out every game at 17,000 plus when Clark arrived. Those same fans are now organizing boycotts and demanding partial refunds for the remaining season. What nobody's talking about is the long-term damage this might cause. Groin injuries for basketball players aren't just about this season. They can become chronic problems that never fully heal. Every quick cut, every explosive first step, every defensive slide puts stress on that area. Clark's playing style depends on her ability to create space with sudden movements. If this injury lingers or keeps recurring, we might never see the same player again. The league's response has been pathetic at best, criminal at worst. Cathy Engelbert released a generic statement about player safety being a priority. But where was that priority when Clark was getting destroyed night after night? Where was the protection when she was carrying the entire league's growth on her back while getting targeted by every team's enforcer? The commissioner, who should be protecting her biggest asset instead, let her get fed to the wolves. Former players are starting to speak out too. Rebecca Lobo called it the worst case of officiating bias she's seen in 30 years of basketball. Sue Bird, usually diplomatic, said the league failed its newest generation. Even male NBA stars are weighing in. LeBron posted a cryptic message about protecting greatness, and everyone knows who he meant. When NBA players are calling out the WNBA for not protecting its stars, you know something's seriously wrong. The conspiracy goes deeper when you look at who benefits from Clark being injured. Established stars who were overshadowed suddenly get their spotlight back. Teams that couldn't compete with Fever's popularity now have a chance to grab it. Even certain media members who resented covering Clark's stories now get to write about other topics. It's like everyone except the fans wanted this to happen. That wasn't even the worst part. Internal emails that leaked from the league office showed executives discussing how to manage the Clark situation months ago. They weren't talking about protecting her, they were worried about her overshadowing other players and storylines. One email literally said they needed to find ways to distribute the attention more evenly. Well, mission accomplished. Now nobody's paying attention at all. The medical negligence angle is what could lead to lawsuits. Any competent training staff would have shut Clark down after the first groin strain. Instead, they kept taping her up and sending her out there like she was disposable. The Fever's medical team either grossly mismanaged her care or were pressured by management to playing her, regardless of the risk. Either way, someone should lose their job over this. Fans are already organizing their response. Season ticket holders are forming groups to demand partial refunds. Social media campaigns to boycott WNBA games until referee reform happens are gaining thousands of supporters daily. The hashtag #ProtectClark has been trending for 3 days straight. Even casual fans who only watched Clark are saying they're done with the league entirely. The timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA's growth plans. They just signed new media deals, expanded marketing campaigns, and were pushing for expansion teams. All of that momentum came from Clark's rookie season success. Now they're trying to sell a product without their main attraction, and nobody's buying it. Preliminary ratings for games without Clark are down 60% from last year's numbers. What's really telling is how quiet Clark herself has been. No Instagram posts, no tweets, no public appearances. Sources say she's devastated and questioning whether the league even wants her there. Imagine being 22 years old, carrying an entire professional sport on your shoulders, and realizing the very league you're saving is letting you get destroyed. The psychological toll might be worse than the physical injuries. The international impact is huge too. Clark brought global attention to the WNBA. Games were being broadcast in countries that never cared about women's basketball before. Now those same international partners are reportedly reconsidering their deals. An executive from a European broadcaster said they bought WNBA rights specifically for Clark content, and without her, they have no product to sell. Aliyah Boston, Clark's teammate and former rival in college, posted a cryptic message about protecting what matters most. Kelsey Mitchell liked several posts calling out the referee. Even Sophie Cunningham, who's been taking similar abuse, shared a video compilation of uncalled fouls with the caption, "This is why." The players are starting to unite, but it might be too late. The real question nobody wants to answer is whether this was did the WNBA actually want Clark humbled? Did they prefer her injured over her dominating? The evidence suggests either massive incompetence or deliberate negligence, and honestly, neither option is acceptable. A league that can't or won't protect its biggest star doesn't deserve to succeed. What happens next will define the WNBA's future. If Clark comes back healthy and the league finally protects her, maybe they can salvage this disaster. But if this pattern continues, if the referees keep allowing assault, if the commissioner keeps ignoring the obvious bias, then the WNBA will have killed its own golden goose. And unlike last time, fans won't give them another chance. The boycott is real, the anger is justified, and the WNBA only has itself to blame. They had the perfect storm of talent, personality, and timing with Caitlin Clark, and they let jealousy, incompetence, and bias destroy it all. The question now isn't whether the league can recover, it's whether they even deserve to. If you think the WNBA deliberately failed Caitlin Clark, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this developing story. This situation is far from over and the fallout is just beginning.